We'll have to have him back. Hey, everybody. Hello, YouTube.
Hi.
All right. We are live on the YouTubes. My name is Brian.
And I'm Christina.
And we are the co-creators of a company called Frame Your Feline.
That's right.
And you'll notice there's a couple feline frames behind us. And what it does is it attaches to your wall. And it makes your cat can jump right into the frame. And unbeknownst to them, they become living works of art. Isn't that cool? It is a unique product. We were named one of the top 10 cat products of 2022 by the Cat Crazy channel.
Yes.
Which
I thought, Luna.
Which, thank you. We were honored to be recognized. We've got a lot of cool things happening this year, though, that's going to make Frame Your Feline even more incredible. What could that be? So we are doing our first of the series. We're doing a series called The Creative Corner with Frame Your Feline, where we're talking to our creative community. Because if you didn't know, see these images in the frame? So you can have your cat with different backdrops. We call them artwork panels. They're interchangeable. It takes less than 5 seconds to change from one picture to another.
And I'm going to demonstrate that very soon.
Christina's good. We have hundreds of artwork panels to choose from on our site. With every feline frame ensemble order, you always get 2 free artwork panels of your choice, which is awesome. But you can always come back and order more artwork panels, and you can always order as many customized artwork panels.
Your logos, your adoption center,
right?
Your foster company,
and so
rescue.
But we couldn't be where we are without the creative community contributing their work to Frame Your Feline. So we really appreciate them, and to appreciate them even more is to actually see them and talk to them.
And some of them are photographers, painters, digital artists.
Yep.
Some people are doing mixed media crafts, our son, and they want to have their artwork.
Now we have been approached by some performing artists who want to get into the frame and do live dances and things like that. But we're just not there yet. We're just not. These frames are big, but they're not that big for performance artists to climb into and perform for your cat.
That would be weird.
They are big. So just so you can get a sense, it may look tiny. I have got a big head. That's true. But these are big. It's 23 inches wide by 18 inches high. And for you kids out there that are maybe not so good with the old measurements, that's almost 2 feet wide by 1.5 feet high. Plenty of room for your cat to sit, stand, lay down. It's 9 inches deep. Whoa, almost 1 foot deep. Are you kidding me? No, we're not kidding you. This becomes a sanctuary for your cat. In fact, you've heard of a man cave, haven't you? Well, these are called cat caves. Okay, cats just love hanging out in there.
And we're recording this right after breakfast. So most of our cats, we have 6 indoor cats, are sleeping. But I've got one of my legs. He's going to jump in the frame soon. And then that is Holly. And she is awake right now.
Okay.
Ooh,
so let's get in a frame. Let's bring out our first guest on the Creative Corner series. Let's bring him in. Let's get Christina, climb in the frame with me.
Okay, I'm invited.
Okay,
I didn't want to block Holly's.
Okay, here we go. Let's bring him on, everybody. Welcome to the Creative Corner. We've got Mike Powell. All right.
Yeah.
Mike, how are you?
All right.
You know what? I should have sent you a frame before we did this, so you can put yourself in a frame too.
And a cat.
Usually when I've been framed, it's not been with the physical frame.
Well, we're happy to have you. Thank you for joining us in this. You are quite the creative contributor to our artwork panels. We've got a lot of your work. We're going to talk about a few of your pieces, what your process is, and then kind of where are you going with all of this? What's going on? What are you? Well, when are we going to get that coffee book table to go along
Right. I
with
love
the
it.
frame? So these just so you know, these are not Mike Powell's works. We put these in here because today, in case you're watching live, this is Valentine's Day. Yay! So we have some Valentine's Day artwork panels. You'll find that in our holidays and seasons category. We have some new ones for St. Patty's Day, so get those.
And Easter.
And Easter's coming, so we keep adding new artwork panels all the time. And we got you pretty early on when we saw your work. We were like, is it possible? He's got a successful blog, everybody. His blog is michaelqpowell.com. Check that out because he's been doing photography, if I'm not mistaken, for 10 years. Is that right? Almost a new picture a day on the website. So I encourage everyone to subscribe to his blog because you're going to see a lot of his work that he won't let us use on his blog. But luckily we're going to go through the ones you will let us use. So
Let's ask Mike where he's located.
Yeah, where are you? Where are you located? Are you in America? Where are you?
Right now I'm in America.
Okay.
I'm hoping I can travel some more this year, and resume international travel and take pictures there. But the pandemic kind of put a kind of quash on that. When I fully retired a couple of years ago, I thought, I'm going to travel all I can. But I live in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. And
got it.
So it's already late afternoon for me, although you talk about just finishing breakfast. I think I have a slightly different schedule and getting up a little bit earlier than you all do, especially Brian.
Well, it's a 12-hour time difference between the East Coast and the West Coast. Am I right on that? Is it 12 hours? How many hours is it?
We had coffee.
We had our coffee.
Yeah.
So I'm burning on fumes of my coffee. So
Yeah,
watch this.
well,
Watch
he
this.
just-
Wildlife. Look at this.
He just
Wait a minute.
jumped from one to the other.
Watch.
Is it going to jump?
He might. I don't know. His little sister's.
Oh. Well, that was unexpected.
In case you didn't know, the top of the frame is a platform as well.
It is a platform, but it wasn't intended to be a platform. And
yeah,
cats love to jump, and
cats use all kinds of things as places to rest and all that. So
yeah, cats do the darndest things. Okay, so let's talk about your work. Okay, so Michael is this amazing photographer. Immediately off the bat, we were lucky to get some of your wildlife photography. There he is.
Safe and sound.
So Michael, you take amazing photography of wildlife. Let's take a look at this one. This is called Eagle in Flight. If you go to our wildlife category and you want to get this artwork panel for your feline frame ensemble, this is where you get it. This is a stunning, look at the detail of the feathers on this and the eye and everything. It's amazing how much detail you get on that. This is not taken on an iPhone 4, right? Like, what is this?
No, it's an interesting thing you point out, Brian. I try to capture lots of detail, but I must confess that the camera that I use is sort of 2010 vintage camera, and the lens that I have is about 8 years old. It turns out it matters, and you can't take a picture like that with an iPhone, but you don't actually have to have the most expensive camera with the newest set of technology. You just have to know your equipment really well, and then know your subjects really well. And it happens that eagles are pretty common, surprisingly, in the area where I live in. So I can actually see eagles almost every time I go to this one wildlife refuge that's on the Potomac River. And there's at least 3 active nests. Earlier this week, I was out and saw eagles sitting in 3 different nests in just one wildlife refuge. So, so it, knowledge of your subject and knowledge of your equipment is more important than having the best equipment. There are some fellow photographers that have $6,000 cameras with $12,000 lenses. If I spend that much on something, I want it to have wheels and be able to fit in. I want to be able to fit inside of it. So, yeah. So I like to go out as often as I can with my camera, and especially since I retired, I now have freedom to do that as often as I want, and not just on the days where I'm not working. So that's kind of the secret of how do I get pictures like that. Spend a lot of time out in the wild and know where to look, and then be ready when something happens, because in order to stop action, you got to make sure your camera is already preset to stop the action, because if you wait until the action happens and adjust afterwards, it's too late.
Yeah, good luck.
Good. Yeah. So, and even then, success is not guaranteed. I go out there with full of hope and expectation, and more often than not, I get something, but it may not be what I thought I was going to get. Yeah. So I mean, recently, last year, I remember getting a picture of a groundhog in a tree. Now, I didn't know groundhogs even went in a tree, but I'm like, let's set up in a tree. I better take a picture of it, and then afterwards figure out what it is, not figure out what it is and, scratch my head while I'm out there in the field. As one of my friends says, practice the law of the Old West. Shoot first, ask questions later. But there are birders that are out there, discussing amongst themselves what a particular bird is. I'm like, I don't really care what it is now. I'll figure that out later.
Yeah, shoot first.
Shoot first, ask questions later.
I like that. There's an Alec Baldwin joke in there, but I'm not going to go there.
Well, I've actually gotten really careful though about talking about photographing things rather than shooting them. I remember telling one of my friends that that I was going out shooting, and he had the wrong idea about what I was doing.
Yeah, you don't want to say, "Oh, I'm going down to the zoo to shoot pandas." That would not be good. Not photography.
We are quite blessed to have pandas as well here in Washington D.C., and the National Zoo is free. So there are a lot of opportunities in this area. I actually enjoy going to the same places over and over again and seeing how things change as the seasons change, rather than going to lots and lots and lots of different places.
Right. No, that makes sense, because you get to know the terrain and what animals are where do they like to hang out. Yep. And then how do they how do they change their lifestyle during the seasons if they're not migratory like birds are, right?
Yeah, well, so where I'm at in the Washington D.C. area, we're kind of like halfway between the north and the south. So we get some of the birds that migrate into our area and spend the winter with us, and then we have some that pass through our area when they're going from the south, further south up to the north. And believe it or not, in addition to the birds, there are some dragonflies that migrate.
Really?
So yes. So
wow. Brings me to
it's a multi-generational migration. So I didn't used to be a science nature geek. I've learned most of it just because I want to know what it is that I've taken pictures of. And so, most people can say, yeah, that's a bald eagle. But it turns out it takes 4 years for the bald eagle to get a white head. It starts off totally brown. And so,
dude, you're blowing my brain.
Well, so they're brown. But it's a humbling experience to do things like that, because just when you think you know what something is, it turns out that it's not that way. So, like, if you learn that males are this color and females are this color, that's great. But immature males are the color of females. for most birds. So
that is so cool.
yeah,
Who knew that they started out as brown eagles, then turned into?
Yeah, it's so it takes about 5 years for them to mature fully, and so it's a you have to, you can tell how old they are by the coloration. You know, they start to change colors and.
Sure. Wow. Cool.
No, so anyway, so that's kind of a cool thing, but that's and eagles are almost everybody's favorite. Most people, especially Americans, like eagles.
No.
And Holly, she's sitting down with the eagle. She's not afraid.
Oh boy, it looks like the eagle's about to pick her up.
Yeah. You talk about an eagle lunch right there. That would be an eagle lunch. By the way, just for everyone at home who's watching, we have thoroughly tested the safety of our feline backdrops. Cats are they will not get attacked by the eagle. We know that for a fact. We had to test the artwork panels. We are good. We're good. Okay, next.
All right.
This is it, Mike. This is a popular one. It's called Butterfly Lunch, and this is in our nature category. And the detail, again, it's all about the detail. You can really see the lines, the veins almost in the wings, and look at the flower detail. I don't know how you do it. I take pictures and they're just a blob, you know.
That's not true.
Well, the macro lenses are amazing because they open up details that you can't see with your own eyes. So having a good macro lens is my sort of probably my favorite lens. And I use one that's a kind of a long macro, which lets me get a little bit further back from the subject. But this is one where the eagle, okay, I have to worry about him spotting me and flying away because he's got such good eyesight. With the butterflies, I have to get close enough where I can try to fill the frame with the butterfly. But if I get too close, he's going to fly away. So it's one of these guessing games as to how close can I get before I scare him away. And in this case, I try to sometimes telepathically communicate with the insects to see if I could get them to perch in the right places. I do it with birds too. It doesn't work too well. But in this case, you can see that the orange of the monarch butterfly is almost a perfect match for the flower. And certainly it's really close. Some people think you could do that in Photoshop, and maybe you could, but it would be tough. It would be tough to do it well. In fact, in this picture, I think I actually toned down the colors just a little bit because it was so bright. The colors were so vibrant that it looked unreal.
Yeah, it looks comical. Yeah.
Well, the interesting about it is the best way to get rich colors like that is to shoot on a day when there's a light cloud cover, not full sunshine, because then the light is diffused and is softer and the colors really pop more. If the sunshine is too bright, then the colors are harsh and you've got shadows. So this is like,
are there days where you're just like, I'm not shooting today? It's a sunny day.
Actually, the professionals do that. I think you can get cool shots no matter what. You just have to figure out how to do it. I mean, I can post every day in my blog because there's always something cool that I've seen recently that I can take a picture of. Now, it may not always be super, super professional in terms of highest quality possible, but it's really cool. So I'm like the little kid who creates art at school and comes home and says, look what I made. And, and the parents are like, yeah, put it on the refrigerator. Did you still do that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're excited about that, then suddenly people are like, hey, I want to go out there to these same places and see all this stuff. And so I think it's an encouragement to people to sort of like get out and enjoy nature. And during the pandemic, people suddenly started seeing that there's a real virtue to going out and spending time in nature and, sort of getting away from the stresses of everyday kind of life. And so having a little piece of nature on the wall, I think, is a substitute for being out there yourself. But for me, it's an encouragement to go out and shoot even better pictures.
I would like to see you do food photography where you sneak up on a bowl of cereal and you're just capture that. No, not for you.
No, but I could try. But yeah, it probably would fly away on me.
Yeah. All right, let's move.
So I switched the butterfly from the gallery gold to the traditional cherry wood. I'm kind of just switching them. The other frame style that we have, for those of you who are watching, is a contemporary silver. And we have that on our website and in some other videos. But right now we have
these two up on this wall. Next, let's do one more nature here, or wildlife. This is called Bluebird Buffet. I love that name, Bluebird Buffet. And it all comes down to the detail, and having bird. Cats love this image for obvious reasons, because this would be a Bluebird buffet for the cat, right? But what's remarkable about this photo, this is like one of those photos that would win a competition, right? Because not only are the details and the birds, everything is just kind of placed appropriately, but if you look close, this bird is in the middle of eating. You caught the seed. Probably, I don't even know. It's kind of just resting on its tongue. If it has it, do birds have tongues?
Yeah, some of them do.
Have tongues, but it's right in there, and it's about to.
And what kind of, you said he had mentioned what the seed was. What was the?
Yeah, what's the seed?
Yeah, it's a sumac plant. You can see right below the bird. It hangs almost like little berries hanging there. What happened is there's a whole patch of these, and so the blurry one in front of it was almost partially hiding the bird. The ones that are right at the level of the birds are in focus, and then the ones in the background are out of focus, and that's kind of camera setting kind of thing. But this is unusual because most of the time, if you take a picture of multiple subjects, it's hard to get them all in a decent position and in focus. And these are more or less, all three of them are kind of in focus, but especially the one with the berry in his mouth, which is a male. The male is the bright blue bluebird.
Well, just so you know, when we do our photography awards show for Frame Your Feline, that you would have won. Too bad you came in so early. We were a couple of years off from having the award show for best photography for cats backdrops. But you would win. I'm declaring you the winner. And
the thing about these two pictures is that both of them are pretty pictures. I mean, most people would say they're pretty pictures and they have kind of universal appeal. Some of the other pictures, though, that I'll take, are the subjects that I take pictures of, there's divided views about whether or not they're pretty. Some people don't think spiders can be pretty, but I think you can have pretty spiders, and dragonflies similarly. Some people are freaked out by that. It turns out spiders are perhaps the most divisive subject that I can have. People think they're either creepy or cool, or both.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it kind of falls in line with like snakes. It's
snakes are exactly the same way.
Yeah, it's like either you're creeped out by it or you think it's super cool, right? But yeah, there's no two ways about it. But there are two ways. There's no one way about it.
No, but most people, even the people that appreciate them, don't necessarily think that they're pretty. So it sort of gets to the question of, is beauty subjective or objective?
It's a good question.
And so and I know that most people will like if I post a picture of a butterfly like the one with the orange flower, most people will like it.
Yeah, if
And
you
in
took,
turn, if I were to judge, that's one that would gain a lot of likes if you judge the success of a photo by likes. But
yeah, if you took a picture of it, like Easter's coming around, right? If you took a picture of a nice little cotton-tailed bunny hopping,
We have those over
right?
there.
people would like that. Yeah.
If somebody says, "Oh, that creeps me out," then that person's the problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
But I've taken a picture of a snake with my reflection in its eyes.
Ooh.
That's creepy.
So that's a really cool picture. But a lot of people don't like that. Like they're like, don't post pictures
You
of snakes.
wait. You took a picture,
And you
if
can
I
see,
remember, of like these eels or something, these sea snakes or these water snakes,
oh
right?
yeah,
Wasn't
I've got snake. I've got a picture of a catfish swallowing I mean, excuse me, a snake swallowing a catfish
Oof.
in the Potomac River. Some people now are freaked out and don't want to go in the Potomac River, but
I'm thinking we need a category called horror. And,
no, but it turns out that there's a lot that you see in nature, and I'm amazed sometimes at the things that I happen to see and photograph. Um,
yeah,
so
it's incredible. But you do more than just wildlife. You're a world traveler. You've been around. You've gone to different countries. Like you said, you were hoping to do that, and then you got
Correct.
kind of kiboshed on that from the pandemic. Hopefully, you get back out there.
Yep.
But here you've
we'll
spent,
always have Paris,
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, oh, the city of love, right?
City of Light, and
Right.
City of Love. Yeah.
And so you spent quite a bit of time in France. You almost have you ever just gone for pleasure, or was there always business
Oh
involved?
no. This was, I mean, this trip here in 2019 was totally for pleasure.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Oh yeah, I spent 3 weeks there, and I I I I sort of didn't have a. I already been and seen all the big sites, so I just wanted to wander around. Um,
See, that's cool because you've already been there, done that.
you have to be careful though how you describe it. I made the mistake of telling people I just walked the streets of Paris for 3 weeks, and people are like, "You probably didn't make much money."
The red
So
zone.
it's just funny that somehow wandering the streets versus walking the streets, people have a different image of what you were doing. Streetwalkers are characterized as one thing rather than another. So,
Well, this photo you took. Let me show the kids at home. Here we go. So that's Notre Dame,
Mhm.
right?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre
right?
Dame, yeah.
Notre Dame, not the college, not the university. This is in France.
Yeah, Notre
and-
Dame, yeah.
Yeah, and look at that. So that's the scene.
Seine.
Seine. That's the Seine.
Tu parles français?
And so so we have a category in the artwork panels called City Kitty. And there's a lot of Mike's work there as well. This is called Sunrise on the Zen.
Seine.
I'm from, look, hey, look, I grew up in New Jersey. Okay. I'm lucky I could say the word sunrise properly. Okay.
I should care, yeah.
Yeah, New Jersey. All right. So here we got
All
the
right.
sunrise, right? Okay. So that is awesome. I could the discipline you have to have as a photographer, not only waiting for the wildlife, but also waking up darn early in the dark to get out there and photograph the sunrise like you did. There's a level of discipline to becoming a fantastic photographer, and I mean, I know that's true with anything. If you're good at something, you have to have great discipline in honing the skills. But I'm in awe of that. That is a great image.
Well, the thing about photography that's so that sort of attracts me so much is I can be as geeky technical as I want about, camera settings and about all the aspects of the camera and what I was thinking and all that, or I can be as creatively artistic about it as I want. And not tell anybody what the settings were, just kind of like envision something like, and this one is more in the artistry kind of things rather than documentary style. So I knew that that's where the sun was coming up, and I knew that was how I wanted to sort of capture it. And sort of I sort of envisioned what I wanted it to look like, and then went out and kind of captured that picture. And that's sort of something you can't do with the live subjects like the birds and the insects. You kind of may know what you wanted to do, how you want to capture it, but there are too many variables you can't control. Whereas the sun is one of those things where it's going to come up where it's going to come up. It rises in the east. So catching the light at a particular time is really good. They say the best times to do most photography is in the few hours early in the day and then late in the day when the sun is lower on the horizon and it's not directly overhead and casting hard shadows. So
I have to interrupt for one moment. All three of our girl cats are all facing out our window because we have birds on our patio right now. I don't know if you heard, Poppy was just chattering away. So they do know the difference between the photograph.
Oh man, yeah.
She's like,
so it's a different set of skills to try to actually take pictures of cityscapes versus sort of like wildlife subjects. But Paris was one of the first times where I finally got over my inhibitions against taking pictures with my iPhone. To me, an iPhone was a phone, not a camera. And it's not, I used to think it wasn't a real camera. Now, of course, I realize that you can take amazing pictures with.
With the latest
cameras.
iPhones.
Yeah. But it's ideally suited to sort of like cityscapes or for landscapes and maybe for portraits. It's just not so good for long distance subjects and macro subjects. Although you can take macro subjects of flowers, you can't really take pictures of insects because you have to get too close to get macro shots with the iPhone.
Yeah, no, the phone does lend itself nicely to cityscapes and to landscape photography, possibly, like far away, right? Kind of things.
Now, there are exceptions to every rule. This past summer when I was traveling across country, driving to Washington, I was in North Dakota and stopped at a Theodore Roosevelt National Park and used my iPhone to capture close-up pictures of buffalo who surrounded my car. And so so they were only a few feet away from my car. So I stayed in my car and had the window down.
I hope you have good car insurance.
Oh, yeah, we were discussing whether or not buffalo damage to your car would be
covered. I don't know if it's covered,
But the buffalo literally, they surrounded the car. So it was, it was getting to be mating season, and I was there, so the males were a little bit.
But I have to assume one of these insurance companies, if your car did get hit by a buffalo, like a good neighbor,
yeah.
State Farm would be there, wouldn't they?
We like to think so.
By the way, today's broadcast is brought to you by State Farm. State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Sorry, I had to weave that in. No,
so iPhones are wonderful, and I'm now trying to get into video. And I've actually started a little YouTube channel where I'm trying to figure out how to do video to accompany my still photography.
That'd be cool. Yeah. So what's your YouTube? Do you have a YouTube handle? A YouTube channel?
I think I'm Michael Q. Powell. If I do the @
that's
kind
original.
Of thing.
That's original.
They're now allowing the custom names, so you don't have to have. But yeah, so that's sort of what I'm hoping to be able to do is to sort of leverage the capabilities of the new cameras as I gradually get newer cameras, to be able to take videos as well as stills.
That's
Because
cool. That is so cool. I hope you share a couple of those videos on your blog. I am a subscriber to your
yeah,
blog.
I do that. It's a little harder to share it there because usually what I end up having to do is share links to the YouTube video so I don't embed the videos in the blog because there's a limited amount of space that you have, a number of gigabytes that you can have without paying more.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, why don't we move on here real quick?
Oh yeah.
This is an amazing image, and I call it an image because it started off as a photo you took.
Mm-hmm.
We then ran it through a process, and if we get in there close, you can see it looks like it's illustrated. It looks like it's got hand drawn wet ground there, and the signage. Let me go to the sign. Look at that! Look at that! Isn't that great? This is called ASMR, by the way. This what's really neat. I believe this is a tea shop.
Yep.
And right next to it is an Italian restaurant.
It says Little Italy.
Have you eaten there, by the way?
I don't think I've been to that one, but
okay. Well, we'll all have to go now and go try it. But we had faces in here. Your camera is so good that you could see the detail on the faces of the people in the restaurant. And in fact, I know Sharon. I didn't know she was visiting France at the time, but we ran it through this process to kind of diminish the way you could tell who, the people's faces, get around any kind of issues. But the graphic work on this looks great. It was run through an AI process, and your photo is, let's talk about where this picture, why is this meaningful to you and where you were at the time?
Well, when I went to Paris, I decided I don't really care for hotels, and they're really expensive in Paris. So I decided to look on Airbnb to find a place to stay. I found in the center of town a 6-story apartment that was used as an artist studio, and the little green door just to the side, that was the door to the apartments, which are, traditionally in Paris, buildings are only 6 stories high, and the bottom floor is frequently with shops, different kinds of shops, and this is a pedestrian area, so there are small shops and their living quarters above that. So that green door went up to the narrow, winding stairway that led to the 6th floor apartment that I was in. No elevator. I was glad I was traveling fairly lightly because it was quite a challenge walking up and down those stairs.
Yeah, they don't have elevators in a lot of these buildings there. And what's interesting, when you go to France, when you see people with muffin tops, they live on the 1st floor. Those are called first floors. And then the people who are totally in shape, like Mike over here, they're on the 6th floor. So
yeah, that was traditionally, the starving artist place, or servants or something like that. So I was envisioning myself as the starving artist in Paris.
Yeah,
but it's very interesting because on that street, like if I happen to like the traditional French, cheese and bread and wine, and if I wanted cheese, I'd go to the cheese store, and if I wanted bread, I'd go to the bread store, and if I wanted wine, I'd go to the wine store. And so all these little shops that you go, and the refrigerators are tiny, so you can't really keep a lot on hand, so you shop frequently. So it's pretty cool.
I kind of was poking fun at you earlier when I said, "Oh, when are you going to do food photography?" But we do have a couple of images of yours called still life, in the still life category. One of them is on a Parisian balcony.
Oh, which is that very same apartment on the 6th floor. Yeah, so that was not only was this in a pedestrian area in the center of town, but it had a balcony overlooking that pedestrian area. So it was pretty crazy. And it was in November. So I was there for Armistice Day in November, which we have Veterans Day, but it started off as Armistice Day, and it's a big deal in Paris. So they have a huge flag at the Arc de Triomphe, and there's a big parade that goes down the center there. As someone who spent 20 years in the military, I love parades, military parades.
So that is a photo that you took, and there's also another one of 2 umbrellas, I think it is.
Oh, I think probably 3 umbrellas, but
yeah,
if I remember right.
Resting on the ground.
Oh no, that's the 2 umbrellas. That's okay. Yeah, that was outside of the Louvre.
It's such a great, but it's a well-composed image, a well-composed photo that, again, we have that in still life.
Right.
And it just looks, it's a great, I don't think you've ever taken a dud.
Well, no, trust me. I take thousands of duds. But the thing about it is, you were mentioning earlier, you have to get up early and all that. This was a case where it was raining out. But I was not going to be deterred from taking pictures. And so, all of a sudden you get like, you start to look around for things and you see umbrellas. And that was the same day, I think, where we had the picture of the lady with the red, red umbrella bridge. Yep. And so I was down at the level, there's paved pathways along the Seine. And then higher up, you've got multiple bridges across the river. And so I was down at the lower level shooting upwards, and that was when I saw the lady coming across. And so you just kind of like see things and say, oh, that would look good for a picture. Whereas most people, when they're in the rain, they got their heads down and they're hunched over and not paying attention to anybody around, or else they don't look around to see what there is to see. So.
Well, one of these days we'll have to have you come and visit the Frame Your Feline West Coast headquarters.
Oh, I'm up. We were already talking about that.
I think your photography of the desert life out here is phenomenal.
Yeah.
From Joshua trees to lizards.
Yeah,
what you name it, they're out here.
Coyotes, bobcats.
Wow, that would be cool. But
they will attack.
Well, yeah. Well, that's true. So will snakes. If so you have to be. Yeah, there aren't too many poisonous snakes here, but there are copperheads, and I've seen one of those once. And my first reaction when I saw it and almost stepped on it was to take his picture, and then to worry about making sure I was far enough away. So
yeah, we've got
Mojave green.
We have vicious, poisonous Hollywood agents out this area that you would have to take photos of. Very, very dangerous. People. Terrible. All right, let's take a look here.
Yeah, I spent 3 years in the military station in southern Arizona. So I got to be a place called Fort Huachuca. So I got pretty familiar with rattlesnakes and tarantulas and a few things like that. I was running marathons then, and so I'd run in the cooler hours of the day, and it turns out that both rattlesnakes and tarantulas are attracted to the roads, which retain some heat as the sun starts to go down. So
I
had to be careful.
That makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to be roadkill when you're taking pictures of.
Well, I remember as a Boy Scout, learning all about cutting a little X thing and sucking out the blood and spitting. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. To get the venom from.
I always thought it was some weird ritual you did. Okay, here we go.
This is how you deal with the snake bite.
Got it. Oh, okay. So
Brian wasn't an Eagle Scout.
So we're gonna talk about this because wildlife. We've got wildlife by you. We've got some still life by you. We've got city kitty images by you. This is in our landscapes category. You take amazing landscapes in this category. We'll talk about this image in a moment, but you have gone, this is in Washington State. You've also contributed some amazing images of Mount Rainier that you've took pictures
which
of.
is Washington State.
Which is also Washington State. Yeah, I said while you were there, but
yeah.
And you'll have to check this out for those who are watching. You have to go to our landscapes area. Look at Michael's work there. There's the peak. You took a picture of is that Mount Rainier's peak?
I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
This past summer when I was there, I actually did a lot more pictures of Mount Rainier. We'll have to look at some of those to see if they're suitable candidates. But yeah, from this past summer, where you could actually see, I was sort of high up and was looking across at Mount Rainier, so you could actually see it pretty well.
Because if you could capture cold in a photo,
oh, that one, yeah.
It's that image. It just looks like the wind is whipping on the
top.
It
was sort of in after Thanksgiving in 2018, and already you were supposed to have chains on your car if you wanted to visit the national park because of snow.
It's a stunning photo. It really is. It's a great
and the photo. Nice bright blue. It was
blue, the whites, that just
like cotton.
When it's 116 degrees here in July, I just pull up that photo. Boom.
Yeah.
Instantly cooler.
This is a bridge in Washington State, surrounded by lots of trees, obviously, right? But this is a famous bridge. And what's kind of cool about Michael, and he was the inspiration to how we kind of do things on our site with regards to all of the artwork panels. We have little descriptions of the panels. Mike does something where he has a fun fact about a lot of his images, and we put those on the website too. So I think the fun fact in this image talks about how high this is off the water. It's in the name of the bridge. And what that I think is cool is when you have this and it's in your home and your cat is posing in front of it, or if your cat's not posing in front of it, looks amazing. But if somebody was to look at this in your house and go, "Oh, that's really neat," you could say, "Oh yeah, that's this bridge in Washington State, and by the way, it's this high." And I mean, it's kind of cool to have a backstory to
conversation piece.
Yeah, it's a conversation piece. It's a piece of your work has a lot of backstory and knowledge dropped on it, and I think that's really kind of cool for our people to know. So thank you for doing that. So tell us about this image.
Well, this was while I was there in the Seattle area, I traveled around a bunch, and so I was sort of this actually connects, I think, from one part of the city, or actually of the area, onto an island. I can't remember. I think the far end of the bridge is Whidbey Island, but I'm not 100% sure. But there were two little islands there, so I had looked for places to visit, and I had a rental car when I flew out there, and so I kept looking for places to visit that I thought would be sort of like cool places to see. So I crossed, or I came to the bridge, turned around and parked, and then found a way to get down lower, so I could get down lower on a trail to be able to look up and see the bridge and to take the picture there, because if you're shooting at a sort of eye level, you can't really see the full extent of the bridge. And so you're trying to figure out what's the best viewpoint to be able to take a picture like that. I mean, it was kind of a cool challenge to figure out, how am I going to get a picture of that shows what I wanted to show.
Yeah, that is called bridging beauty. Bridging beauty in the landscapes category. So cool. Such a great shot.
So that was one case where on that trip I didn't have with me my super long lenses, so I was thinking more towards landscape, although I had a moderate telephoto lens, just not a huge one. It's sort of, I have a different sort of set of gear that I carry with me for different occasions. Photography, in theory, digital photography is nice and cheap because you don't have to buy film, you don't have to pay to get it processed, you get unlimited, number of pictures you can take. It's just most of us suffer from what's known as gear acquisition syndrome. Gas that people suddenly have like, oh, I just need another lens and I don't have one of those, and this new camera just came out that has all these new features. I'm pretty much immune to that. I mean, right now I'm actually on a Mac computer that was built in 2010. 2010.
Yeah, that's vintage.
Yeah, that it is vintage. Now it's tricked out though and I replaced it with a graphics card that has 8 gigabytes of sort of video memory, and and it's got 4 hard drives, and but 2 of which are SSD. So it's like, it's not your average 2010 computer, but
okay.
And my camera is like 2009 vintage camera, and
I think now is a good time to talk about your GoFundMe page.
No, I actually have the money for all this stuff. I take perverse pleasure in getting really good results with sort of moderate cost equipment. I don't think you have to have like, super absolute best to do most of the things that I want. What I'm finding though is video, as I mentioned earlier, video is something where you actually do have to have better gear in order to shoot video with a camera. Whereas taking pictures, Ansel Adams didn't really have very good gear compared to what we have now.
Yeah, he's a hack though. He's a hack.
Yeah.
When
Ansel.
I think Mike Powell. I don't think Ansel. Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Ansel, but cancel. Okay. All right.
But there's a whole legacy of people shooting with that, and the question that I always ask myself is, if I buy this new gear, is it actually going to improve my photography? And maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I still have gear that I don't use because it's sort of like new, still in the box, because I am so comfortable with what I use now. It's funny, but the results.
Why learn something new?
Well, no, it's sort of like you learn new things, but there's no replacement for becoming familiar with the capabilities and limitations of what you do have. And so I know, like my lens is, as telephoto lenses go, is a relatively cheap lens, cheap as in $1,000, but compared to the $12,000 lens, you don't have to have that. It's amazing what you can get with more modest gear. I like being on the trailing edge of technology.
You know what? You and I are a lot alike, because there are people out who love like what is it? Sony PlayStation 6. We're on Atari 2600 over here, okay? And we have as much good time playing Miss Pac-Man as somebody playing Gears of War, okay? So,
I have Nintendo 64 myself.
Oh, see, you're a little bit more advanced.
Yeah. So now there's a retro. By the way, it goes in the same vein. We could talk another time. I use a 1954 vintage Gillette razor for shaving with drop-in blades, twist and turn. And
you do?
I do. I used it today, in fact. And
wow,
use a badger brush to make lather, and
you do it the right way.
Oh yeah, well, it's a little spa experience,
That's amazing.
Well, no, well, you can, and it's cheap, by the way. You can $15 will get you 100 blades.
Whoa.
I use a Gillette Fusion Mach 5.
Well, yeah. So you have like 5 blades and
5 blades.
Well, yeah. And by the way,
There
when
we go.
ecologically speaking, you're throwing away that plastic case and all of that, whereas I have like just a piece of metal that can be recycled.
You can sharpen them on your jeans though, and make them last longer. I do this, and he's like, "Why are we doing this?" I said, "We're saving the planet."
Yeah, we're saving the planet. So
Yeah.
no, but it turns out that that's a that the gear, I'm fond of saying that, the importance of gear is overrated. And when people sometimes see pictures like the ones that are in the frames, people say, "Oh, that's a great picture. You must have a really good camera." And the answer is no, it's actually, I'm just a really good photographer.
That's true.
Well, no, it is true. And you can take, you don't have to have it, and have to have really good gear, and really good gear doesn't guarantee success.
Mhm.
However, the newest mirrorless cameras, the expensive ones, have like animal eye tracking, so that eagle, if you focus on the eagle, and it's going to focus immediately on the eye.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
So it almost sounds like cheating, but so if you just have $9,000 and want to get a Sony Z9 or, Nikon Z9 or a Sony, A1, then you can get that feature.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, and you can, when it's for like, if you're taking pictures of people, you can focus on Brian's left eye and not his right eye, so that it's in focus. Because with most pictures, if you're taking pictures of live subjects, you want the eyes in focus.
But that always goes to the newest, the latest, always is the most expensive. If you wait 5 years, that's going to be $350.
Yeah, it is. And the problem is, but then people will be happy. I mean, will you believe that that's still good enough? And so that's where I'm at the stage of good enough. I mean, I drive a 12-year-old car. It's good enough.
You know what? You are a wise man.
Well, it turned. I mean, well, it turned. So, although it's a Kia Soul, I needed something a little quirky. So, it's a orange Kia Soul.
Is that like the little square boxy kind
of? Yeah. They used to have the hamsters.
Yes.
Yes. So it's a and my license plate is a custom license plate that says "Bless my soul."
Smart.
But it turned out when I drove across North Dakota and Montana this past summer, I think I had the only Kia Soul in the entire area. Everybody else was driving massive pickup trucks and huge SUVs, and so
well,
so but again, enough. I mean, when it comes to taking the pictures, enough is good enough, and and then you have you have decreasing marginal returns. If you spend twice as much, you get maybe 10% better picture.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up because we're out of time.
We've got Holly and we've got Poppy.
Poppy.
We saw Jolly. We saw Winnie today.
All right. So who have we not seen?
Tootie and Mojave. It's very, very windy here. We're under a wind warning, and it's very scary.
Wind advisory.
Yes, a wind advisory. So it's very scary for Mojave. He's the orange and white ginger cat, and Tootie is our one-eyed cat. And they are cuddling together in the bedroom, I'm sure.
Mike, just so you know,
wind is so scary.
Typically we do these interviews outside, but I didn't want my toupee to fly off. So
I don't have that problem.
See, no, this is all real. It's all real. It's all real.
Is it natural colored?
Yes,
it is.
The streak is natural.
Look at this. I got like a gray streak.
Oh, it makes you look distinguished.
Very Mad Men.
I'm 24 and I just can't imagine what 25 will bring. Pause for laughter. Okay. I'm 29 again. Okay. So I had one last question for you, Mike. Then we're going to wrap it up by guiding people your way online. Mike, if there was one photo you could take that you have not been able to take yet, what would it be?
Oh, wow. One photo that I would take.
One photo.
The subject matter.
It's your bucket. What do they kick bucket list photo? You only have one photo. You're in a ditch, dying, and you only have one photo to take left, and it's not of the ditch. What would it be?
I think it would, the one that comes to mind immediately is taking photos of puffins. They're very unusual looking birds found in places like Iceland.
That is a wonderful idea. I think it's wrong though.
What's that?
This is what you'd want to take a picture of.
Yeah.
Christina and I. There you go.
With the cat.
The
with
view
a
I
frame
yeah.
for
Okay. Oh wait,
No,
this
puffins,
is the view I
puffins.
like best is from my front porch looking in. I think that's the song.
Puffins. Okay. So, Mike, how do we find you? Where are you online?
The easiest place to find me is michaelqpowell.com. Which would get to my blog that we've mentioned several times. It's the biggest catalog of my images there. It's searchable if you get there. So if you want to find eagles, you can search. There's a little search bar inside the blog, which searches internally. So you can find all kinds of things there. You can also find me, on Instagram and TikTok and other places with either Michael Q Powell or Michael Quentin Powell or some version of it.
We'll leave that in the notes area.
Yeah, we'll put that in the notes. Well, we appreciate everyone for watching. We appreciate you, Mike, for joining us on our inaugural Creative Corner with Frame Your Feline. So we appreciate you. We appreciate your work. We also know that our Feline Frame family of Feline Frame Ensemble users also appreciate your work as well. And we will wrap this up. I am Brian.
And I'm Christina.
And we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.